shooting the basketball. They're shooting about 35%. You got to knock down some shots, and then you've got to get back in transition. Indiana's done a really good job getting out and running in transition, so you look for that. On the other side, with the paint dominance, Cody Zeller. He's been dominant in the paint on both sides of the ball. He's got to continue that, and then you contain defensively. You don't need to get beat to put Zeller in foul trouble because you don't have a lot of help behind him.
Indiana wins a tip. They lead the Big Ten, scoring better than 90 points a game, and have outscored their first 4 opponents by 26.
Right away coming out, you see Gardner Webb in a man-to-man, and they've got to pay attention to where the shooters are. But again, I think they've got to worry about where Zeller is on the court.
This is Victor Oladipo, talented sophomore, trying to turn the corner against Byron, but gets cut off. Shot clock at single digits. Watford buries it, and why not? Because Indiana has been shooting lights out, and he's at better than 50% for the season.
He's really played well in the last couple of games. He had to go down to Evansville. They played a couple of games, 2 games before that, and he wasn't quite in rhythm, but he seems to have picked up here the last couple of games.
Indiana leads the Big Ten with a 57% field goal percentage here 4 games into the year. Max Landis, the Indianapolis native, gives it up. And Gardner Webb, which comes into this game at 2-2, is looking for something to happen with the shot clock now at 5. Lefty pulls up, and that's in and out. Oladipo lost the handle on it, and Jordan Holds comes away with it off the miss by Stephon Johnson, the junior from Cincinnati.
And good transition defense by Gardner Webb.
Oladipo off the mark, and Indiana starts 1 for 2. Don't think that Gardner Webb's going to wilt away. They went into Kentucky just a couple of years ago, Billy Gillespie's first season, and they jumped off to a 14-0 lead and took down the Wildcats. They also have a Big Ten win in 2005 against Minnesota. Both of those games came with Chris Holtman, their head coach, on the sidelines as an assistant for the Bulldogs.
And they've done a good job here early. We talk about transition. Those were 2 potential transition opportunities for the Hoosiers, and I thought Gardner Webb did a nice job getting back.
Watford tries to go baseline on Stephon Johnson, who commits his first foul. Chris Holtman, 2 years an assistant at Ohio University before returning to Gardner Webb, and now in his 2nd season. He's had some roster turnover, lost 4 key players, but he has some transfers in the mix. It should be key for him this year. And a whistle again on Gardner Webb. And Tom Crean, in his 4th season at the helm here at Indiana, 32-66. And a new look at this Indiana team with the addition of just one person, and how one guy can make a difference with the 4 other starters. That's the 6'11" freshman Zeller. Oladipo crossover, and he got to the rack.
Tom, you and I were talking earlier today about what's the difference in having Zeller. It's that kind of move where people will not come off of Zeller that allows Oladipo to get to the rim. Because Oladipo is a guy that really, that's what he wants to do. He wants to try to get there, but if you got Zeller, you can't come off of him.
Newsome's wide left. Oladipo has the rebound. Tom Crean's message to his team today was to pound the glass. Oh, transition. Oh! And Byron brings it down. He specifically stressed offensive rebounds, one area he thinks Indiana can improve in.
Well, the one thing area, and he's rightfully, obviously, as a coach, concerned about it, because even though the victories have been commanding, the rebound difference has not been what you would think. It's less than 3. And that's something that he knows that at some point it's going to catch up with him as you get into conference play.
That's a first bucket for Max Landis, freshman from Indianapolis.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Honorable mention All-State performer out of Perry Meridian. Scored better than 30 points 4 different times last year as a senior, and you can bet he's fired up to be playing here.
He's fired up. He's got family here. You know he is.
Watford looks for Zeller, and the freshman gets good body control to put it up.
They went into a 1-2-2 zone after the basket, and a little patience there. Ball in the middle. Watford got it to Zeller. Now you'll see at home that Zeller's got good hands and a good feel, and was able to maintain some balance, even though he got knocked off his feet a little bit there.
Got a good size test inside with Max Byron, and stepping on the inline was Max Landis. So Zeller tonight gets another big fella. Mike Byron goes 6'11", 250.
Well, here will be the challenge for Byron. Can he get up and down the court with Zeller? Because that's really, to me, that's Zeller's biggest strength. For a guy his size, he has very good speed up and down the floor. Again, out in that 1-2-2 zone.
Back cut, Oladipo brings it back down. Lost the handle on it. Didn't blow the roof off the place, but still got the bucket.
Yeah, they got it to him, but he missed time to jump and mishandled it, still able to put it in.
An 8-2 start to this game for Indiana. Lone bucket for Gardner Webb came from Max Landis, the Indiana native.
He needs to score. Byron needs to score or make a play out of there.
Instead, he gave it up, and the shot clock winding down again. Little floater, teardrop, pretty shot. It goes for Dawson.
That's what I call it, a teardrop.
And thrown away by Jordan Hose, trying to come the other way.
For big man here, Zeller has been very helpful starting it off. We talked about one of the keys for the Hoosiers is to dominate the paint. So far, they've got 8 points, and 6 of those points have come in the paint.
Maybe next time I should ask you what Cody Zeller can't do, because he's among league leaders in points per game, rebounds, block shots, and steals. Second in the league, only behind Ohio State's pesky guard Aaron Craft, with 3.3 steals per game.
Yeah, he's got a good feel, and to get steals, you have to have anticipation, some sense of what's about to happen, and he's very good at that.
Dawson tried to turn the corner, leaves it for Landis, guarded by Hose. Two Indiana natives going head-to-head. Shot clock at 2. 3-ball is an air ball, and Oladipo will have a chance to start the break.
Did they get a
John
foul call?
Higgins is going to whistle a foul underneath.
I think he called it on Watford. And partially, you know, that foul very well may have come from the fact that the ball didn't hit the rim. You know how guys are ready to time it? And I think Watford got surprised, and he pushed Byron in the back just as the shot clock was ending, and ended up getting called for that foul. So you take 35 seconds off the clock, and you end up giving him the ball back. Give Gardner Webb the ball back.
And then Gardner.
They don't quite have the 38 team down yet.
You know what we could say, that was the foundation of the first national title.
There
for
you
Indiana.
go. That was the there. Good, very good.
And moments ago, by the way, that personal foul at the end of the shot clock was that foul was on Cody Zeller, not on Watford.
Oh, okay.
On 40, not 4. Dawson passed up the 3, backs it up, and the first shot that the Bulldogs have had early in the shot clock is short. Here comes Holes in Indiana.
But it was a jump shot too, which means the paint is still being dominated by the Hoosiers, because that's what you want to be able to do. Force any team to have to shoot jump shots as opposed to getting to the rim.
Oladipo, beautiful spin move, and Victor Oladipo is off to a hot start. He's got 6 and IU's 10.
He put a lot of pressure on Byron to help the guard. He went right at him and then spun off of his foot. And not much Byron could do before Oladipo was at the rim.
Gardner Webb has had a tough time getting off clean looks. Byron, the big guy, had 1 touch inside but didn't take it, back out. Dawson, deep 3 off the screen. And now Gardner Webb's taking some shots that may be out of their range.
They really are taking them out of their range, out of their rhythm.
Zeller with the bump, and he'll take a trip to the free throw line. That's the first of Mike Byron.
But I think as important as that, as you just talked about, was Zeller getting the ball. One of the things that had not happened in the previous 3 games, they didn't know when to throw him the ball. You know, you got a guy that runs that big. If he stops in the paint, all you have to do is know that the defense is on the half-court side. Just throw it to the rim, just as they did there. Zeller can go get it. He has good enough hands.
And he's a great free throw shooter, 83% coming in, second best in the Big Ten. A couple of subs will enter for both sides, including Matt Roth for Indiana.
And some shooting in Roth, so they'll be able to knock down some shots.
Tyler Strange, freshman from Leominster, Mass, enters for Gardner Webb. He runs the point now, played at famed Notre Dame Prep in Fitchburg, Massachusetts. Landis left his feet, left it for Byron. That's blocked away. And it's Roth who came away with the slot. Numbers for the Hoosiers. Oladipo, no, they're going to wave it off. That'll be a foul on the Ron Buzz.
And they call it on the ground, but you see they're starting to get help from all of the Hoosiers, seeing the opportunity to get a block shot. But again, you got a big man inside. It looks like you got an easy basket. You see the help come over, and Roth gets a hand on it. And the Hoosiers run out, and they get the foul call on the other end.
Chris Holtman immediately went right back to his bench. Chris Hartley enters the game for Gardner Webb, along with Corey Hensley. And Watford
that doesn't count. Just calling the first, sorry, the first move. Yeah. The NBA rule, that counts. That was an NBA count. That's what all the Hoosier fans think it counts too.
Across the board, the report on this Indiana team, Quinn, is that everybody's bigger and everybody's stronger, and that goes from the post guys like Zeller, who added good weight before the season got started, and guys like Oladipo and Sheehy, who has yet to come off the bench.
There's no question. Oladipo and Sheehy are clearly stronger. It happens some because you're older and you kind of get your natural strength, but I think they worked in the weight room. But I think when you say stronger, it's not all physical. Some of it is mental. I mean, having to go through some of the things they went through last year, I think they're just stronger mentally about the things they can do as opposed to thinking things that I'm not sure I can do. And you can tell when they approach the basket now. They approach it with confidence.
A holding foul on Tyler Strange as he tried to slow up the driving Verdell Jones III. Webb's depth has taken a hit, by the way, this game. David Brown out with a wrist injury, didn't travel with the team. And Sheehy enters and Walker takes a seat.
Sheehy has been playing pretty well. He's, doesn't have to do a whole lot with the ball. He's a wing player, but has done a good job pulling it up, knocking down shots.
Sheehy, 15 points in the win against Savannah State on Saturday. He's one of 5, makes it 6 Hoosiers, averaging in double figures.
Nice transition out by Verdell Jones because Landis was looking to get that one airborne.
Landis picked up his dribble on the baseline. Now Hartley found himself open, and he fires an air ball. And it was out of bounds on the baseline as Laurent Buggs tried to save it. Chris Holtman helped engineer Ohio's upset of Georgetown 2 years ago in the NCAA tournament. He's known as a prep guru. When he puts a scout together, it usually comes out well. He also had a scout on Gardner Webb's upset of Kentucky in Rupp Arena a couple years ago.
And he does a nice job with the scouting and getting the guys to play hard. They just have been channeling. I mean, this is a tough matchup for him to play against a team as big as Indiana is. But this is where you got to figure out a little bit of what your guys can do and what they don't do well, so you can be prepared to play later in the season.
Matt Ross 3 makes it a 10-point lead. Strange draws the foul on the drive. It's a first on Will Sheehy, the talented sophomore. And so Tyler Strange will go to the free throw line.
I'll tell you what, for a little guy, and I mean short in stature, Tyler Strange is built. I mean, he is thick. Lineup on the floor for Indiana was a lot like the lineup we saw a lot last year. The only other person you would probably add to that would be Tom Pritchard, who's not on the floor now. And so, again, and I say that only so you can take a look at the contrast when you have, somebody with size on the floor. Because now Elston has to play a little bit more of the 5 position with this lineup as opposed to he's a natural, if you will, 4, where you can get some shots, jump shots.
Gardner Webb gets a steal. That foul on the last trip was on Daniel Moore, not on Sheehy. Strange leaves it for Stephon Johnson. Good ball movement now for Gardner Webb, but it's in and out. And there's Elston, as you said, playing inside for Indiana with the rebound.
Yeah, that was the best offensive possession by Gardner Webb, too. They were patient with the ball, threw it inside. And you're right, a terrific pass across the land as he just couldn't make the shot.
Buggs with the hold. It's a second on Laurent Buggs, a senior from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Indiana with a 10-point lead.
He gets a mismatch, and he can exploit that. Right now, he has 6 points because he's been able to get out in transition, but more importantly, get to the rim where he is most effective. He was the Big Ten Player of the Week last week, so he's really improved his game, and it really is going to help, I think, Cody Zeller not feel some of the pressure. But it's a little bit different for Oladipo because he can get to the rim because Zeller's on the floor.
One of 6 Hoosiers averaging in double figures, along with Verdell Jones III, who drains them both from the free throw line. Indiana leads 16-4 now. Tom Pritchard into the game. So Pritchard and Elston. Danny Moore, Matt Roth, as you said, this is a lineup that was on the floor at times for Indiana last year.
Yeah, this is a more typical lineup, but I think this is a better defensive team because they just have more confidence about the kind of things they need to do, just because they've got more experience.
The freshman Cody Zeller has one personal foul, and he gets a breather here. What can we expect for Zeller in terms of playing time during the season? And a game like tonight, why isn't he on the floor?
Well, that's a great observation, because one of the things I think that has to happen with Tom Crean, and he's doing it, he's got to figure out how to spread his minutes so he gets some endurance without getting worn out, because you hear early in the season where you're having a lot of success, but the truth is, you've got to play in the Big Ten, and you know when you start playing against guys with size and strength that are much stronger, that'll wear him out. So I think that's part of why you don't see him on the floor now.
You know what, this might be a great endurance type week for Indiana, because we've got Butler coming up in a few days. Class is out for Thanksgiving. I have a feeling there's going to be a little bit of endurance work over the course of this week.
There'll be some challenge to him. You can believe that. Tom Crean won't let the opportunity slip by him. I don't believe.
He had the ball stuck on his hip, and Tom Crean calls it out for his Indiana team, 4-0 on the season.
And they trapped right out of that out of bounds. They went into a zone, and Elston has been doing that so far here in the early part of the season. Stepping out, knocking down the jump shot. That time right there at the three-point line.
He's 4 of 5 from behind the arc this season. Daniel Moore commits his second foul. As a team, Indiana's hit 48% of its threes coming into this one. They didn't all of a sudden get to be much better shooters over the course of the summer, although there was some improvement.
I would agree there's some improvement. Elston knocks down the shot. Part of it is you can do it a lot better when you got somebody who throw it into the, at the basket or in the post, and they can throw it back out. That's a better shot. Elston has been able to get better shots because they've got him playing a little bit more pick and roll, and he's been able to get it going to the baseline, and he started off with a lot of confidence. So shooting it anywhere from about 18, 19 feet in, he's just comfortable with it now. And he looks for a screen roll. I mean, even in the play there, they were in a zone and he was running the screen and roll. Some coaches do that, but Elston's looking to see could he get a pop out of it.
See who they go to offensively with this set on the floor. She height advantage on Max Landis, gives it up for Oladipo. A bit stagnant now with this foul. Here's Oladipo looking for Sheehy. Beautiful back cut on the bucket.
And a terrific pass by Oladipo. I've yet to see that all season. But he was able to find Sheehy, who made a good basket cut.
Indiana's hit 8 of 11 from the floor to start this thing. Gardner Webb has not had that kind of success. 2 for 11. Landis, 3. Got it. And you can hear the screams from the rafters where family and friends are camped out here at Assembly Hall for the Indiana native playing in his home state.
You watched him warm up, and I was watching him as well. You could see he's got a lot of confidence in what he can do, particularly shooting the ball. And this is a guy that's played against, Marquise Teague down in Kentucky. He played against Pike at Perry Meridian, so he's used to playing against really good basketball players. So you're not going to necessarily beat him with that. And he's tough enough that he'll make you make plays. Oh, he got hammered.
And there's the whistle, second time through for Derek Elston. Tom Crean's message to his team today, we talked a little bit about it, was offensive rebounds. And I said, Coach, your team's shooting 57%. There aren't that many offensive rebounds to be had, but they are towards the bottom third in the league at a 31% clip offensive rebound percentage. And that's what he was stressing to his teams. When there are opportunities, we need to come down with basketball.
I agree. I think part of what Tom Crean was, I think that helps. You can do that and you can score, because he knows scoring is going to be a challenge as you go further through the season. What he's really trying to get him to do is to focus on rebounding. Because as you and I discussed earlier, they're less than +3 on the rebounding side with teams that they've dominated. So that's what's got him concerned. That's just the area you have to improve in. And one of the challenges he has is because he plays a lot of the lineup, he'll play with Oladipo and Sheehy, who are wing players, not necessarily guys that play closer to the baseline, so they're not going to get as many rebounds as you would like.
Sheehy recovered after going to the steal.
He is coming looking for it, too.
He sure is. Max Landis with his second bucket. He had 18 points, a career high as an everyday starter against South Carolina State last time out for the Bulldogs of Gardner Webb. Out of the Gulf South Conference. Offensive foul on Tom Pritchard. You weren't the only one in this building surprised.
Yeah, I wasn't sure that whether Gardner Webb's man where he got there in time. I'm looking to see if there was a chance he didn't, but Johnson got there and they called it on Pritchard.
By the way, you notice the block charge arc is not a full circle, so it doesn't come into play on the baseline or under the basket. So that new rule in effect this year in the college ranks with the arc on the floor only pertains to underneath the basket or in front of it.
Yeah, that's, as you well know, that is much like the NBA rule. And what it really does is because the toughest call in basketball is the block charge. If you are on the line or in or below going toward the baseline side, if you are there 9 times out of 10, there's absolutely going to be a charge call. So it takes a lot of the guessing out of it because it's such a difficult call.
Indiana actually practices with an arc 6 inches wider than that.
Yes.
Tom Crean got that idea from John Adams, the director of officials in the NCAA, and he said, I just want to stress to our guys, don't think of that first arc. You've got to be outside of it. Don't get caught with your heels on it or above it. You don't even have to be touching it, but if you're above it, that principle of verticality applies to the line itself. Another little floater for Jason Dawson. He's got that shot down.
He really does. I mean, that was a tough shot. And he knocked that one down like it was nothing.
Sheehy works it inside of Zeller. Zeller fades away and it falls off.
Max Landis was wide open on the other side. He was looking for the ball.
He'll let his teammates know, won't he?
He sure will. Good defense by Jones because he's staying on the right hand right there. Tayshaun, who was really trying to get to that right hand. You got to stay on his right hand as well because Landis likes to go that way as well.
Bulldogs had a chance to get it to single digits, couldn't do so. Now Oladipo banks one in. He can do just about everything tonight.
Did you see the control though? And that's what's different. He didn't have that kind of control last year. He'd have gone up to shoot the ball and he'd still be fading out of bounds. That one he took a real balanced dribble and got it off the glass.
Or he would have tried to take it all the way to the rim instead of stopping for the jump.
Exactly. Judgment is better.
Hartley goes hard to the rim. 2 Hoosiers on the ground. He failed to pick up the spare. Here comes Sheehy. Zeller with 2-hand flush.
Again, down the court early, and he was part of the reason why there was no basket on the other end for Gardner Webb.
Will Sheehy with the assist in transition. Dawson open on the 3, and that one goes. Jason Dawson has 8 here early.
And he released that one just like the teardrop. He released it early.
Sheehy, too strong.
Over
and
the
that
top
went over the
of
top of the basket. Well, it'll be interesting to see Cody Zeller, as you mentioned, his strength getting up and down the floor, going against some of the big guys in this league, like Jared Sullinger.
Well, what will happen in those, and Sullinger, as you well know, has lost some weight, so he's more of a, and this is a bad term, but I think exactly, he's more of a plotter. This young man can run, and he's going to have to run in that game to try to wear Sullinger down. But what Sullinger is going to do is put his body on him when he gets in the post, and that will tire out Cody Zeller. And you can do that with guys when they're young. When they get older and they get a little bit more strength, it'll be a little more difficult to move him that way.
You called him a plotter. I mean, Clydesdales compare their weight too, right?
Yes. Yeah, well said.
Newsom gives it up. And Gardner Webb hits another 3. That's the only way they're staying in this game because that's the only way they're getting those looks. It was the largest lead for Indiana before that triple. And that is the 3rd in 9 attempts for the running Bulldog. Pardon me, the 4th and 10 now.
But that's a pretty. You'll take that all day long. You shoot 40% from the 3-point line. Anybody in the country will take that.
They only have 8 attempts inside the arc and 10 outside.
Well, that's 8 inside because Zeller's there.
Right.
That's why we at the top of the show we talked about shooting efficiency. That's why they have to be very, very effective. Now this is the one thing they really don't want to do is you take a look, Coach, over there trying to make sure that you got Etherington understanding what it is needs to be done. But you got to know that you really don't want to foul, because this is the other thing that Indiana took advantage of in their last contest, was the fact that in that contest, Savannah State fouled, and it really takes you out of the rhythm of what you want to do, and Indiana gets the rest.
Indiana with 35 of 47 against Savannah State. That was the most free throws attempted by an Indiana team in more than a decade. And Watford, the junior from Birmingham, hits them both. 10-point Indiana lead once again. Mike Byron, the 6'11 sophomore, has yet to score here tonight. Another floater, and this is an offensive foul as Cody Zeller hits the ground and picks it up in possession against Jason Dawson.
Well, he doesn't have a lot of blocks, but he has done it, and that Zeller has done a real good job, again, just understanding. Now, that was the second, that's actually the third floater, and he just stood there and just waited to see where the opportunity was and took the charge.
High pick from Zeller. Jones leaves it for Holes. His first look was inside. They love the jumper's good.
And that's where he's gotten better. Holes is a guy that normally just stands still to make shots. He's been able to take 2 dribbles. A lot of players can take 1 dribble. He now can take 2 quick dribbles and get a shot. That's a little more difficult to defend.
Zeller picks up Landis on the switch, who left it inside, and a nice move with good body control for Tashawn Newsom. Newsom's out of Albany, New York, played for the Albany Rocks AAU team. Not that long ago that the Rocks featured a backcourt with Taylor Battle and Jimmer Fredette. Battle left Penn State, and Jimmer obviously trying to move on to the NBA if they ever play. The Rocks, a well-known AAU team up in the Northeast, got a lot of great talent year after year.
Yeah, there's no question about it. You named a couple guys that were pretty good players there.
I don't know how you have enough shots to go around.
I don't either. I mean, you got to have an extra ball for sure.
Tom Crean's Hoosiers have Butler coming up next. This is all part of the same Hoosier Invitational.
Yeah, Hoosier Invitational.
Allows you to get an extra game on the schedule, of course, this season. 4 games played in a round-robin format.
I'm watching the matchup with Landis and Halls to see if Landis stays patient. He's a young man, and sometimes they don't get enough shots, and they'll get impatient. Landis didn't that time. He actually did a nice job passing that one back out.
Zeller inside, quick touch, swatted away by Byron, and may have taken an elbow to the head. Dawson on the run threw it away. Cody Zeller may have to wear some protective equipment. He's taking on BTN on Saturday, the old open bucket.
It's the first time I've seen that.
Well, they dug it out of a farm down in southern Indiana and cleaned it up a little bit. It looks a lot nicer now, but a guy like Max Dedman holding it looks a lot smaller than I ever thought it would.
It does. I didn't quite have a perspective on it. Coming back out here, back to the game, you see that Gardner Webb has gone into that zone. That's a deep 3 there.
And Zeller with an offensive rebound. Tom Crean challenged Cody Zeller this afternoon in practice to find more offensive rebounds and to be able to battle inside. Upcoming games with Butler, Kentucky, and North Carolina State will challenge the Hoosiers. That one blocked away by Byron's got his second swat in about a minute of game time.
Yeah, and he actually has been pretty active on the glass down there. He doesn't have the same foot speed as Zeller, but he has a pretty good feel for the game.
Pull-up jumper is good, and that goes for Dante Harper, freshman from Winterville, North Carolina.
There you are.
Zeller out in front.
See, he almost caused the entire team a problem for Gardner Webb, because he got out in front.
Gardner Webb comes here from North Carolina. You spent some time playing in their gym back in the day.
I used to go down there and play with one of the great players from down there. Shelby, North Carolina is right there. And David Thompson, the great player from North Carolina State, had a clinic down there. And I went there to do a clinic with he and actually Indiana native Monty Tao, who played at North Carolina State as well. Yes. I know we were talking about that. I said I went to Gardner Webb. You kind of did a double take on yeah, I did Gardner Webb.
Oladipo got fouled on the putback. Another offensive rebound for Indiana.
I was going to say to your comment about the offensive rebounds, Indiana's much more aggressive on the offensive rebounding after it being made an emphasis by Tom Crean. You can see The ball gets knocked from Elston to Oladipo, who gets fouled on the back.
That was the second now of Mike Byron. And Oladipo's got another one coming.
It's amazing how a facility this big gets almost wide enough to hear a pin drop when Indiana's on the foul line.
Challenging your thesis. You're absolutely right. If I would have had a pen in my pocket, I would have tossed it on the hardwood.
Toss it right out there. You would have heard it.
10-point Indiana lead. 2:20 to go before the half. Mike Hall and Keno Davis back in our Chicago studio. Busy night of action in the Big Ten, including Ohio State at home on BTN to follow us.
Indiana's got good enough defensively. You cannot dribble the ball that much and be that effective.
Harper open three. And Sheehy finds a loose ball. Here come the Hoosiers, 3-on-3. Back to Holes, and Holes into the paint and dumped it out for Roth. Now Indiana will try to reset. Gardner Webb has been very good at transition defense the entire game. There's 5 guys and 3 guys getting back.
No, you're right on it, Tom. They have done a very good job forcing Indiana, even in their semi-break situation, to bring the ball out. Not a lot of easy baskets. Oladipo got one. But other than that, they really haven't gotten that yet.
Sheehy had it stripped away by Kevin Hartley. 5th turnover for Indiana tonight.
There's no big man in there. So he's going to try because there's nobody in there.
First personal foul on Jordan Holes. Sure to stay tuned at halftime for the State Farm Halftime Report. Mike Hall, Keno Davis, first half reaction. Highlights from Maui, Michigan, and Memphis going head-to-head in Maui. Michigan wearing bright blue shoes out there to go with their gold unis. It puts your HD to test. You get a Maui tan just watching them play. Rolls off for Landis.
Yeah, Michigan has got Tim Hardaway Jr. who's actually been able to help them. Michigan is going to probably, they're going to be a little tougher than people think to beat them than they were last year, because I think this week will tend to play together a little bit more. Saw Purdue last night. They were playing against Alabama. That was an interesting game. This is the first time I've seen Robbie Hubble since he's come back off of those, multiple knee injuries, and he I'll tell you what, he's bounced back pretty well. He's a little bit more of a, he gets it on the perimeter. He's 1 or 2 dribbles either way. He can really stick the ball.
There are a handful of teams in this league that have one clear-cut leader, and the question that will be answered during Big Ten play is how those teams are able to survive without their star, whether that's via injury or foul trouble, and what the depth means to these guys once you get into the heart of conference play.
No question about it. You're right on it. That's what happens in this conference, because you've got to play such a grueling schedule. You're going to have to play some big minutes at some point without your star. And the question is, how does the rest of the team make up for that?
And if I'm Indiana, that's why I love this hot start. We got 6 guys averaging double figures and putting up almost 91 points a game.
And then what they've got to be, I agree with you, as they get Cordell Jones takes the foul. They've got to be content with, they don't have to all score 20 points. If they stay at 10 points with that 6, that puts a lot of pressure on the opposition.
Through the first 4 games, I'm told that Indiana faced 4 different scouting reports in terms of what teams tried to take away from them offensively. One game it was the guards, and then it was Zeller, then it was the wings. And so you have to decide during the course of the week, or the 1 or 2 days you have to prepare. What are we going to try and take away, and can Indiana counter that?
There's no question. But I think what most people are going to try to counter first, and it is Zeller. Just because it's hard to play. You got a guy with size that can make plays. You need to keep the ball away from him in a position where he can really be effective.
Ball taken away by the running Bulldogs. They'll have a chance for a bucket to make this a single-digit deficit at the break.
That's the second time Hartley's gotten a steal. I mean, he's got pretty good hands. He's a little undersized, but he has a good feel for the play and got his hands on that ball.
Gardner Webb, they like to run, but they've done a good job mudding up this game. Indiana's averaged 45 points a half in the first half through the first 4, held to 34 here. One last chance for Landis. He leaned into Zeller, but they got away, and that's how the first half will come to a close.
He'll learn. He had it.
Second half action from Assembly Hall, Indiana, with an 11-point lead on Gardner Webb. Tom Hart with Quinn Buckner. Mentioned earlier, Gardner Webb has a couple of big upsets in their school history. At Rupp Arena against Kentucky. Game when they jumped out to a 14-point lead just a couple of years ago, and one Big Ten win in their history. They took down Minnesota in 2005. An old-fashioned three-point play at the buzzer for a 73-72 victory.
And if you're at home and you're wondering about the pace, this is the way Gardner Webb wants to have the pace. They can't afford to have it run up and down, even though they're undersized. They feel like they've got to make Indiana guard for somewhere in the neighborhood of 29 seconds out of the shot clock in order for them to be able to get something good. Boy, that was well defended by Watford, because Newsom thought he had him beat.
Oladipo 1-on-2, try to split the defenders. A problem with Gardner Webb is that they didn't get good looks in the first half, even when the shot clock did run down.
Yeah, they really did. They struggled getting some good looks. What they ended up getting was a couple occasions. Landis was able to make a shot. Even Dawson had some teardrops, but you're right. They were still difficult shots. They made them, and that's why at the top we talked about efficiency.
4 of the 9 made field goals in the first half for Gardner Webb came from behind the three-point line.
And then the other thing they weren't able to do, they didn't get to the free throw line very much. And that's what they've got to look to do. See, they've gotten 2 breaks where they probably should have lost the ball, and Indiana has not come up with it. As we look at starting, they call traveling, but you can see Elston is in that starting lineup.
7 turnover the game for Stephon Johnson. So coming out of the break, Derek Elston, the junior from Tipton, Indiana. Part of the starting 5 for Indiana.
Part of the reason he's in is because this team will go to a zone. And you see Elston does know how to get open. They went to a zone and they just kind of flooded the middle with Watford, and Elston, who'd gotten the ball originally, just got open and got a layup.
So he's a better zone buster, you think, than Jordan Holds, who's a great three-point shooter who starts the game on the bench because he can do it differently.
I think because he has size. I don't think he's a better shooter, but he has size when he's shooting the ball, and he's probably able to get the shot or make the pass a little easier than Holmes.
Dawson fires a 3. That's off the mark. Zeller had it. Watford comes down with it, though. And with Holmes on the bench, Oladipo gets it running and threw it away to Zeller.
Yeah, he threw it late, too, because Zeller was open early. You either have to throw it with a little bit more arc or you almost can't make that pass because he threw the ball after he recognized Zeller was open as opposed to looking to see where Zeller was going to be open.
3rd turnover for Oladipo, 6th for the Hoosiers as a team against just 7 assists. And so he's replaced by Danny Moore. Indiana native Landis has it, looking for the double screen up top. And he works on Burdell Jones. Zeller has it, immediately looks up to run.
The size was too much for Landis when he got to the rim.
Watford 3.
That's a tough shot. You don't have your team set up to get rebounds there.
Dawson finds Johnson, and a nice touch off the glass
with the left hand. Dawson delivered that one right on time to Johnson.
Lead down to 11 for Indiana. Gardner Webb trying to find its way to single digits. They had that chance before the end of the half. Landis threw it away.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say Zeller was wide open there. They got the ball again. They got it to him late.
Elsie, this is a 2. And Watford bumped on the rebound. That'll be the 3rd now all of a sudden, and the big center, Mike Byron.
Yeah, he's putting a body on Watford. And I think you're going to see that. I really do. I think they're going to pound Watford playing that position. That's the one reason I think that they'll pound Zeller. I think that's why Elston's in the game. Because you're going to see it, because it's going to be tough to play with Oladipo unless he's going to be playing out front. If he's going to be playing one of the guard positions, you're going to be really undersized, and rebounding is going to be an issue. That's a foul. Hartley.
And that's a 3rd on Hartley, so 2 of the key post players for Gardner Webb each have 3, Hartley and Byron. But you can tell that Chris Holtman, the Gardner Webb head coach, really feels that the first 5 minutes of this half will decide the game because he's leaving both of them in with 3 fouls.
Yeah, he is. Hartley actually did a nice job for him late in the half. He's the one, when the Hoosiers, when there were steals to be made, Hartley was the one that came up with him, which would be a little bit surprising, but he's got good hands.
Zeller finds the bucket on the reverse layup. Going around Byron. Newsom working on Watford. Goes to his left. And Zeller has the rebound for Moore. Watford trying to get past Byron. And his jump hook falls off.
I don't think either team really wants to play at a blazing pace, but both of them will play at a pace where you can get some fast looks.
Landis thought he was free. Zeller gets another rebound. What is that, his third of the second half now?
Oh, good pass.
Watford leaves it, and Elston reverses it in.
Yeah, and it was the first pass that I was talking about when Moore was able to deliver the pass to Watford and the defense collapsed, and that's how Elston was able to get to the basket uncontested.
Hartley on the move.
Elston got away with a foul on that one. I can hear that over here where he slapped him on the wrist.
Knocked away by Hartley in the open floor.
Yeah, that's his third steal. I mean, Hartley, he gets his hand on the ball.
That was a key for Indiana against Savannah State. The Indiana coaches.
That perfect combination, what you see with Elston, he had 5 rebounds and all of that. And I think, though, I really do. I think that's going to be the challenge for the Hoosiers through the course of the year. I think they're going to have some challenges when you defend, but when Oladipo gets out and can get scoring, like any player, he gets a lot more confident and he becomes a better defensive player.
Zeller jumps out to hedge the screen. They find Hartley in that corner. Well-designed play, but they can't execute.
Yeah, he really was. He may not be swift of foot, but he knows how to get his feet set to knock down a shot. He made one in the first half, and he got there somewhat, I mean, it looked like methodically, but he knew what he was doing.
And a steal taken away from Holes by Larson, of the Dawson, pardon me. And then Zeller gets on the floor to find the loose ball. And we finally will end the scrum with a tie-up, and it will be Indiana basketball.
But Zeller has been known to go to the floor for the ball. I mean, you'll see there's one on the floor. He's down by himself, and then Holes gets in there, and Zeller loses it. Well, Zeller got a little help.
Sure did. It wasn't just gravity to put him on the floor.
he got a little accommodation on his way down to the floor.
Holes turns the corner. Oladipo looking for Sheehy inside. He said he'll gun it.
But you know what? Newsom made him shoot. He backed off of him a good 2 feet.
Hartley. Everything seems to go through Hartley, and now Sheehy tried for the strip on the blind side, and Indiana gets the takeaway.
Yeah, Hartley tried to do a little too much that time, and I think he's also a little winded, but he just tried to do too much. That can't be a play that the Hoosiers want to run. But both of them, both Watford and Oladipo were at the basket at the same time. That was a screen set by Oladipo to free up Zeller, and Zeller with showing you his passing ability makes a really solid bounce pass in there on that play.
Give an assist to Zeller.
So he set the screen, Oladipo did. And you can see coming back, just that's a 6'11" guy making a nice bounce pass right where you need it for Oladipo.
3-point play for the sophomore from Hyattsville, Maryland, Victor Oladipo. And Oladipo with the steal. Now Watford open 3. Holes offensive rebound. Zeller off the feed from Sheehy, and a foul on the entry pass, and Oladipo trying to get this crowd fired up at Assembly Hall.
And they made the right decision after the shot, because I don't think the shot by Watford was a good shot. But when they came back and you had a miss, you see there's a mismatch with Zeller. They've got to figure out how to throw him the ball.
Corey Hensley is the freshman guarding him at just 6'8". Zeller goes 3-11. Good ball movement, Oladipo. So quick to the rim, and the lead for Big Z.
And see, you could see he didn't have to hardly jump for that. Oladipo just kind of halfway threw it in the air, and it was right there where Zeller needed it.
The lead is 20 for Indiana. Landis. Zeller swatted that one off the backboard, but the foul on the drive on Holmes.
I mean, you got to know where to find your people on the floor. You see Oladipo. See, he barely gets the ball up below the rim, but you can see Hensley's right there, and he just doesn't have enough oomph to get to it. Oladipo bringing a great deal of energy after having a very, very good first half. Hoosiers 12 assists on 16 buckets. It's 5.
And Gardner Webb turns it over. Jason Dawson couldn't get it inbounded. And Chris Holtman thinks the clock's run a little faster here in Indiana.
I'm sure you do when you lose 5-second counts, but at that point, Dawson's got to make a play. Either throw it off somebody's foot or throw it off a back or something. You got to make a play or call a timeout. Again, a 2-3 zone. He step out of bounds? Yeah, because he was going to shoot it. Yeah, exactly. He was going to shoot it, and then he changed his mind, and he had to propel himself, and he put a foot out of bounds and trying to prepare to go.
8th turnover for Indiana. Jason Dawson takes a seat. Ron Buggs back in.
Oh, that's out of bounds.
And Gardner Webb gives it right back. At the inbounds play that Chris Holtman had in mind.
I'm not sure many coaches had that one in mind. No offense, but whoa! You got one of your players chasing the ball out of in the front row.
That's why you use straws in the front row. Bring a sippy cup. Oladipo.
Very good play.
Holds. And Zeller with the follow tip. He's in double figures again.
We talked about it. Coach Green wanted them to get some offensive rebounds, and he's getting it. This is a very good timeout on the part of Gardner Webb. He's comfortable in terms of what everybody else does, where his teammates are. He gets a chance to assert himself, and he's done that closer to the basket.
Zeller had a double-double in his debut, 16 and 10. Joining teammates Tom Pritchard and Christian Wofford, his other Indiana freshman, to turn in double-doubles in their debut. Ron Buggs lost that one off of his leg. Good pressure from Oladipo. He's playing with great energy tonight.
Yeah, and I was waiting to see what Coach is going to do, because Buggs has been in the game. Now they're going to leave him in. But Buggs has been part of 2 turnovers. That pass that you and I were talking about that ended up in the front row, Buggs made the wrong move on that. Not necessarily a good pass, but he made that turnover and then this one. But they want to keep ball handlers on the floor because they want Landis to be able to chase the shot.
So is Tyler Strange, who checked in a much smaller lineup for Gardner Webb now, guard heavy. And Buggs commits his 3rd. It's never a good sign when a sub comes off the bench and you take a jab step towards the bench like it's your turn to take a seat, which is what Buggs did.
Yeah, he did, because he knew that he turned it over and thought there was a really good chance that the substitution was for him.
3 fouls now on LaRon Buggs. Top returning scorer for Gardner Webb. Zeller lost it down low.
Yeah, exactly, partner. You cannot, you're that tall, you cannot bring it down. And they've got to throw the ball up high because he's the only one that's going to get it. There's just not enough size otherwise.
Buggs drew contact, couldn't finish. Watford had it. That turnover was the 9th of the game for Indiana a moment ago. Now Sheehy had Zeller but didn't pull the trigger.
He did.
Watford pulls up and buries it.
But what you saw, you and I just saw, that's where they're not accustomed to playing with Zeller. Because though Watford made the shot, Zeller still had position, and he had the basket position and never got the ball.
You don't have to throw it for an alley-oop, right? You just got to get him the ball.
Just throw him the ball. He can throw it back to you because they're going to come and double him just because he's so close to the rim. You get a more wide open shot.
Hartley spins his way in, but he walked with it.
They call him for a walk.
Yep. He's working hard. Kevin Hartley, junior from Klein, Texas.
Yeah, he went to the Collin County Community College, and he is working hard. I just think at this point, I think he's excited about the opportunity, and I really think he's just trying to do too much. And this is where, see, Zeller's big enough that if you put him in the zone, see, he's in the zone, and because Zeller's in the zone, Sheehy was able to get there. Sheehy got to the back of it because Zeller moved to the high post.
Score here at Assembly Hall, Indiana leading Gardner Webb out of the Gulf South Conference. This week on BTN.com, don't miss any exciting hoops action. Go to video.btn.com this week and check out our upcoming basketball schedule. Go to video.btn.com for more information. Scott Skiles may do that. He's got some free time on his hands, right, with this NBA lockout?
He does, and just getting out and taking advantage of it. He lives nearby here down in Bloomington. We talked about paint domination by Indiana necessity. It's 24 to 4 points in the paint. Zeller's presence on both sides felt, I think it helps that they've been able to get him the ball where he can be effective in the paint, but he also draws defense, which allows some of his teammates, Hoosier teammates, to get to the rim uncontested.
That was the second personal on Victor Oladipo.
This lineup, you can see what it was decided because they went to that guard lineup. You took it, made sure Elson stayed out, and now you got Sheehy trying to guard a guard. And for Sheehy, it's a little bit more difficult because he's really a forward. Oh, what a hustle!
But Oladipo stepped on the sideline. He had great hands to come away with the steal.
Official right there on the sideline to see it.
Store. So if you're watching this game on your iPhone, you have to hold it right side up so you can get Cody Zeller to fit in the entire screen. 6'11". Don't hold it sideways. There's a lob inside to Byron. It's his first bucket of the game with a 6'11" sophomore.
Yeah, they're hoping that he can put the body on somebody, on Zeller, not somebody. And he did a nice job coming out of that timeout. That's one reason why Coach took the timeout. He knew he had to get a basket, get something going.
Two great passes, and Sheehy pays it off.
And where you see sharing the basketball is what Cody Zeller does, and that becomes a bit contagious. But a very nice pass between Sheehy and Oladipo.
Good move by the Indiana native Landis to get Watford in the air. He's into double figures. Here's Sheehy out in front. Back-to-back buckets for Will Sheehy.
I'm looking at Tom Crean. He's encouraging Jordy Halls to speed it up a little bit. He wants to try to, he thinks that this Gardner Webb team is tired.
Landis. And here comes Holes after the defensive rebound. Sheehy looking for 6 in a row.
And see how they push the ball up. I mean, that's why at the top we talked about getting back in transition, because that's what Indiana's had success with. The previous teams they played, that's the way they played. They pushed it, and they don't necessarily have to push it deep. They just push it where they can get themselves into a position where at the half-court line they can make at the foul line they can make a shot.
Holes wanted to push it, but got caught up in the air, so he throws it up.
You call it flatten out your defense. It forces everybody that has to go not just to the foul line and look for their man. They have to flatten out and go to the basket and then retreat to their men, and that's where three-point shots can be made. So, yeah, it's some baskets that they're going to have to get because they're not going to have any other inside presence to be able to get anything in the post.
Tom Pritchard has entered the game at the timeout. Sheehy. 8 straight for Sheehy. I want to find number 10. Hartley on the run, and that is an offensive foul, and Kevin Hartley is fourth personal.
That's a tough call there.
That's a second tough break for Hartley. One was a travel, and now on that foul, and he's got 4 personal.
Yep, he's got 4 personal.
Gardner Webb at Indiana. The Hoosiers undefeated at 4-0. The running Bulldogs 2-2. Tom Hart with Quinn Buckner. And this half, Indiana has hit 11 of 19 from the floor. Gardner Webb 3 of 13.
Indiana a lot more aggressive.
Sheehy, can he do it again? 10 straight for number 10.
Yeah, he's got it going. He's been able to get himself in position. His teammates have found him, but he did a nice job off the screen. The pop to the corner. Defense too late. Sheehy on a nice little roll.
Will Sheehy has hit a bucket the last 5 trips down the floor for Indiana, inside and outside. Now let's look for number 10 running the floor in transition. He wants the ball from Holes. Sheehy calling for it. Find 10. Here's Jones. Off balance and through the foul.
But the reason Jones gets the ball is because number 10, Sheehy, cut. And when he cut, the defense started looking at him, allowing Jones to be open in the corner. So that scoring, and then now it makes everybody aware of where Will Sheehy is because he's on that roll.
That's a fifth on Kevin Hartley. You'd be surprised who can have a hard time finding the way to the seat. And Verdell Jones the third. We'll have one more coming his way. Jason Dawson replaced him. You know, Dawson a couple years ago had 31 in the Dean Dome against North Carolina.
Well, he can get it going. He's had a tough time tonight, though.
He was the North Carolina junior varsity.
Oh, my bad.
Playing for 14. Okay, 31 counts. Not many people have dropped 31 in the Dean Dome.
Right, exactly. That's what he can say. I got 31 in the Dean Dome.
Against Carolina Blue, too. They wear the same uniforms.
You've seen them this year, I'm sure. Roy Williams just reloaded.
Well, the key, not only to keep your superstar freshmen, but get some of those key seniors to come back, including another Zealot.
He's played well for him. You know, Tyler, I mean, they get some things done in there. And they did a nice job keeping, getting the point guard back. That's the other thing they needed.
Yeah. Harrison Barnes got off to a slow start last year for North Carolina, but turned into be one of the best freshmen in the nation once he got going. Landis went to his left. And a fine move from Max Landis. Freshman's got a dozen, right at his season average.
You got to like his moxie. He is not afraid. He comes to play and is willing to take the challenge.
Sheehy. Short.
He was so far off balance on that. If he made that, that's one of those where you said he's in the zone.
Vaughn Johnson was short on that rebound. Here comes Indiana and Verdell Jones. And Jones got tripped up. Tom Crean wanted for auto, home, life, and banking. Get to a better state. Tom Hart alongside Indiana legend Quinn Buckner. Verdell Jones a third at the free throw line. 7:56 to go in this non-conference matchup. And Verdell now 19 points away from tying my partner all-time scoring list here at Indiana.
He's a lot better scorer than I was. I can tell you that. A lot better.
He's third in the Big Ten in three-point shooting coming into this one.
Actively, he's one of the third leading assist men in the Big Ten as well.
Dawson working against Moore, leaves it inside. And Stephon Johnson turns to his left, too strong. Here's Oladipo. Numbers for IU. Verdell Jones finds Pritchard. Lost on the way to the rim. Great hops.
He really does. He's a good athlete. I mean, he may be the most athletic player on the team. He's a little different athlete than Oladipo. Oladipo is one that has this explosiveness. When you look at Sheehy, he has a little bit more length when he makes his plays.
Pritchard inside, and he fits one in. Tom Pritchard's first bucket.
He was able to get his body to the left side of Byron and put the ball just over the rim with that left hand.
Mike Byron's been playing with 3 fouls for the majority of this second half. In the last 10 minutes, he's been playing with 3. Dawson created some space. And a foul inside will go against Tom Pritchard. That's the second on the senior from Westlake, Ohio. 1-1 now for Gardner Webb the rest of the way. Corey Hensley is set to return for Gardner Webb. He'll check in for the shooter Byron. And Dante Harper's back in.
I think at this point with your Gardner Webb and the staff, all you're looking to do is trying to get you guys some experience, getting a better feel for how to play in a difficult environment. Because this one has gotten clearly away from Gardner Webb. They've got to continue to play at a high level, but it's just so hard to play. You know, particularly when you're trying to teach players how to win. Coach Holman is just trying to make sure he keeps his guys involved in the game.
We're going to have some thunder snow there from Pritchard for a moment, but he couldn't finish right at the rim. Here's Gardner Webb the other way. Oladipo trying to get his hands on it, and he took an open floor bump from Dante Harper. It's the first time Harper. You know, we're talking about Gardner Webb's win against Kentucky a couple of years ago at Rupp Arena against Billy Gillespie's squad. That came in the 2K Sports Classic. And it was such a surprise that when they advanced to the next round at Madison Square Garden to take on, Oklahoma with Blake Griffin, UConn with Hashim Thabit, and Memphis with Derrick Rose, they showed up to see Kentucky's name on the banner and all the T-shirts that were for sale. Nobody expected them to make it to Madison Square Garden. And as a matter of fact, that was the win. That was the upset that triggered a change in all of these preseason tournaments that end up at Madison Square Garden or other destination events, and said from now on you're just going to play in the pod, and if you're a small school and you win, that's great. You're still going to play in your pod because we need to sell tickets at the big game.
No, there's no question. Those ventures are nice, and it's good to get some of the other mid-majors and smaller schools there. At the end of the day, they're still kind of in the market to be able to get some money so they can run the tournament the following year.
There's a handful of schools this year that played in the Maui Invitational that were not invited to the island. We still play through stateside. You can have the T-shirts and you can put that on your schedule, but
you're not getting to Maui quite that easily.
No, you save on airfare, so that's good. Dawson to the free throw line. Played against the North Carolina junior varsity, and he was at Fort Union Military Academy. There's still a few programs out there that use JV programs. Kansas for a long time had a junior varsity team. They play those military academies and some smaller schools, prep schools as well. And if you're a North Carolina coach and you got a junior varsity, it doesn't hurt sometimes to see a prep school team coming to the Dean Dome to play your JV team.
No, it doesn't. It gives you an opportunity to see what you have, and probably see what else. We'll see what the military school and the prep environment has as well.
A bad way to build a relationship. Remy Abel is in the game for Indiana. Watford is short on his three, and Newsom has it.
They're expecting Remy Abel to be able to give them some athleticism, athletic ability on the perimeter. Now he's a freshman that got a lot to learn, but he's playing behind some players that are playing pretty good in Sheehy and Oladipo.
Great ball fake by Moore. Now Abel.
That's what he's going to have to make, and he struggled making that shot even the other night. Abel's going to have to be able to make shots, or he's going to have to make plays. I think he's a guy that's more make a play than make a shot.
Another offensive rebound for Indiana. And fistful of jersey for Daniel Moore. That's his third personal foul. You know, Tom Crean challenged his team today in practice when it comes to offensive rebounds and getting on the glass. I think after tonight, they go into practice tomorrow, he's going to have to find a new challenge because they did a great job listening to him and putting that into effect today.
I totally agree. They've been much more active on the offensive glass than I've seen in the previous games.
Dawson's got another free throw coming. Matt Roth entered the game. Dawson started his college career at Wofford College in South Carolina with the Terriers, went to the NCAA tournament, almost upset Wisconsin in the first round.
Travel, no question. He took 2 steps. He didn't take a step. He took 2. Now,
the Indiana coaching staff said he was pushed. But if Cody Zeller is going to get pushed by Max Landis at 6'1", 175, but it's going to be a long Big Ten season.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's part of what he's going to have to do. He's got to fill up, because you're right. If Landis can move him off the spot, you know, there's some other teams in the Big Ten, and probably about 9 others that you got guys a lot bigger than that. That's the travel as well.
Dante Harper lost his feet. 17th turnover for Gardner Webb. That number crept up on him in a hurry.
It really did.
Here's Watford. Gets to the glass. His finger will no. Zeller tips it up and in.
He's got bugs over there on the other side, about 6 feet tall, trying to put a body on him. But, you know, 6 feet tall with 6'11", you're a little short.
Landis turned the corner behind Zeller right off of his hip, and he hits the jumper. 14 feet from Max Landis.
I really like the way, I like his moxie. I like the way he plays. I mean, this is a freshman. He's just playing.
Sometimes it's a challenge for a school like Gardner Webb to leave a venue like Assembly Hall and to get that energy every night, whether that's non-conference play or within your own conference. That team that won at Kentucky, that upset Kentucky in Rupp Arena, turned around. You know how their season turned out? 16-16.
Yeah, that happens because that game makes their years. And you got to remember, and I say this to the people at home, these are young people. But it's really human nature that you really are fighting when you have that kind of success against a noted program. Got to make yourself continue to try to get better and not let your season be one game.
Reverse layup. Landis is playing out of his mind tonight. He's got 16.
He just plays. Yeah, that got Tom Crean's attention. So get somebody else in the post to make a contribution. Zeller does some good things, but he allows his teammates to do some good things as well.
So a couple youngsters on the floor, 3 different freshmen on the floor. Remy Abel, Austin Etherington, and Cody Zeller inside. Abel, good jump stop. Move the ball to Sheehy. Got it.
Well, he was really stroking the ball with confidence.
That's his first 3 of the night, his 3rd of the season. Now 3 for 8 from behind the arc. And Sheehy's got 15 points, 13 of them since the break.
And for the most part, what you notice with him, he's been taking it in the flow.
Landis has brought the flow to the floor for Gardner Webb. He gets fouled on the jumper by Sheehy.
The most about Cody Zeller, he streaks.
Yeah.
For a guy his size, he runs almost like a 3, if you will, which is a much more athletic run than guys that plod. But at the end of the day, let's be clear here. Jared Sullinger can play. Don't get me wrong. I'm not implying he can't play. I'm just saying he doesn't get down the court quite as fast.
Max Landis has turned in 17 points. He's one off of his career high that was set last time out. Tom Pritchard returns for Indiana, and Cody Zeller will take a seat with 13 points tonight. 2 off of his average of 15. And Max Landis going to be a one-man wrecking crew for the Bulldogs, especially here in the second half. Indianapolis native now has 10 in the second half and 18 overall. And he gets a seat and a word from his coach.
You know what's good about being young? As long as he's played, you see he's not even breathing.
That's right. I don't know if he's sweating.
He's
right
not
now.
even breathing hard. Coach was talking to him. You expect some people that can't. He wasn't.
Strange tracks down the loose ball, rebound in the corner, and pushes it up immediately. Strange goes to his right at the rim, and Byron was fouled by Austin Etherington, his first. GMC professional grade player of the game.
Yeah, Oladipo has been very, very solid in his ability to get himself where he needs to go. You see him making the pass while Sheehy was on his little bit run. Solid on the defensive end, forces the turnover. He is the energy. He tends to be a bit of the barometer for the Hoosiers. Zeller is the guy in the middle. On the outside has been Oladipo here early in the season.
And the last foul was on Tom Pritchard, the 3rd on Pritchard, not Etherington. Mike Byron started 21 games as a freshman last year for Gardner Webb, put on 20 pounds in the offseason. The key player for them in Gulf South Conference. Nice bank shot by Bugs. Cliff Ellis is the head coach at Coastal Carolina. They just had a big win against LSU. They were the pride of the Gulf South last year, but then Gardner Webb came in and ended their 22-game home court win streak. And UNC Asheville has already played a tough schedule. They had Carolina come to their new place at home back in November. Feet got tangled, and Johnson whistled for the foul. That's the 4th on Stephon Johnston. Johnson was one of 6 Division I recruits on his team in Cincinnati out of Princeton High School, and he played against some great talent coming up, guys like the Plumlee brothers, Samardo Samuels, had a Solid career at Louisville. He made 26 starts for this Gardner Webb team last year. Another free throw coming for Abel, 6'3" freshman. It's going to be tougher and tougher to integrate young guys into this rotation once you get deeper into the schedule, especially with teams like Butler and NC State and Kentucky coming up.
Well, exactly. And this is their opportunity. You know, when you play here in the exhibition preseason, pre-conference season, this is when you got to make your mark when you're a freshman, because once that conference season starts, unless somebody gets hurt, you're going to have a hard time getting into the rotation.
What kind of rotation do you think Tom Crean wants to have in order to be an efficient team? Once
you remember him in Kentucky, at Marquette, where he would play. I mean, he'll play multiple guards. He'd like to have 8 to 9 guys, I'm sure. And that's why you're starting to see him put that tempo up, because he wants to wear you down as much as he wants to do anything. So I think the 8 to 9, maybe almost, if he could get it to 10 solid, he'll take it. His old Marquette team, by the way, they're not bad.
No.
I watched them last night. They're not bad at all.
And one of his former players, Trevor Mbakwe, is primed to have a great season with Tubby Smith and the Gophers this year.
I'm anxious to see how Nebraska does in their first season in the conference as well. I mean, there are a lot of good teams here, but I'm just anxious to see how that develops for them.
Dawson left it for a teammate who wasn't there. He thought Harper was going to follow.
He left it for a teammate in the white.
Well, he was open.
Yeah. No question.
Let's not be picky.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. That's just a small thing by my standards. I'm sorry. That's Abel.
Drive.
Yeah, that's what Abel does. If he gets started to the rim, he's a little bit more like Oladipo in that regard. And he's probably going to have to work consistently on his jump shot in order to be much more like him.
Yeah, I don't think Mike Byron is going to take the charge in that situation. But one thing you may see more in the college game this year with the advent of the block charge arc is instead of a guy sliding over to try and draw contact on a charge, their coaches are telling them just go up and block the shot.
Yeah, to go ahead. I mean, because right now you have a better idea what the risk is, so just go get it. My thought is if you got a chance to block the shot, go get it. Don't take a chance on the charge. Because not only do you stop the play, but it makes people aware that if you come in there, you can't come in. Don't think you're not going to be contested when you come in there.
Jeff Howard with some playing time here late in this one, and he'll get a trip to the free throw line. To third on Corey Hensley. Don't forget, Ohio State, third-ranked team in the nation, coming up next from Value City Arena in Columbus.
Oh, they got some athletes on that team.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my goodness.
And Aaron Kraft, I had a chance to watch him practice a couple weeks ago. Aaron Kraft was just a freshman last year, and he plays and acts like a senior this year.
He gets it.
Yeah.
I mean, he just understands what needs to be done. And for a coach, that has to be really gratifying. You know that there are times in the game where you can't use a timeout. So if you can bring Kraft, Thad Matta can bring Kraft over, give him the, hey, we talked about this, remember, or something like that. I mean, it wouldn't be an admonishment. Hey, remember we talked about, let's get it to the post quickly. Then from there, he just takes it and everything that goes with it.
Well, Gardner Webb had a couple of big upsets in their school's history coming into this one, including a Big Ten win at Minnesota. And they won't be able to pull off the upset here, but they're not going down without some contact, and Strange will go to the free throw line. Starters get a chance to rest here before a tough week of practice. And the next 5 coming up, including Butler right here on Big Ten Network. On the road to NC State, Stetson, and then John Calipari's Kentucky Wildcats before Notre Dame.
That's why Tom Crean is trying to get as good a look at as many players as he can, because he knows you go down that lineup. Butler's a little young. They're going to be somebody that you got to work through. NC State is not bad, but eventually when you get to Kentucky, you got to have multiple horses. You take a look at Maurice Creek, who had been one of the players that he being Tom Crean, would have depended on, who's again unfortunately hurt. This time it's his Achilles. But you've got to have a lot of horses out there when you're playing against Kentucky.
13th turnover for Tom Crean's Hoosiers. Shot clock is off now for Gardner Webb, and they'll walk it up. Now Butler may not be as strong and experienced at this point of the season, but they're still probably at least a 20-win team. The Strange hits the three, and you can bet the energy in this building is going to be through the roof.
I don't think there's any question about that. They still bring a certain, cachet with them because they've had the success of 2 Final Four appearances in a row. Rarely done, but because there's Indiana, Butler, that whole thing. So the Hoosiers are going to have to play with a lot of energy because I'm sure Butler will. There'll be a lot of pride for the Bulldogs.
Indiana runs its record to 5-0.